March 1st, I went to a book convention in Irving. It was a book festival. I had a great time there, and I was able to listen to a panel based on the young adult category in writing books. I actually have a recording on my channel of that panel if you want to check that out. Please subscribe for more writing content on this channel. These are questions that the moderator asked the authors of what they did, and they had their answers, which were spot on. I really enjoyed it. And in this video, I want to give my perspective of how different things in writing goes with me and all that stuff. So, what is your favorite part about writing fantasy novels, and what's your least favorite? My favorite part about writing novels is, well, I'll say the characters, because you get into their perspective and you get to know them really, and you're able to relate to some of the things that they go through in life, and also some things that we might never do in life in the real world. My least favorite thing about fantasy novels, or writing fantasy novels, I'll say the world building, because creating a world can be very fun and all, but it comes with a lot of building blocks, and there's levels when creating your own world. There's things like, there's just a lot that goes into world building, and what I'm currently doing with my novel that I'm currently still writing, I am trying to improve with world building and have that play as a major factor in the story in a way, but I'm still working on that. So, yeah. Is there a rule that you follow when you are creating your magical systems? So, it's not really. I don't, especially starting out, I don't feel like I have certain rules. I feel like there's limitations, like certain strengths and weaknesses, you know what I mean? And with, let's say, my novellas, like, I didn't really have a magic system. I might have had a few characters who had magical powers, and you know, but I wasn't like in specifics of like, oh, here's the rules of the magical system. I didn't really have a magic system in there. I just had characters who had powers. And writing my first ever novel, there's not exactly a magical system, but there are characters who have magical powers. And pretty much I'll say the main rule is keeping keeping it a secret. So, yeah. Do you keep a lot of notes that never make it to your books? So, I am a plotter and a pantser, but I feel like I'm more of a pantser, because the story comes to me whenever, and even whenever I finish the book, I I tend to just have all these other ideas like come to me, and it doesn't necessarily, I'll say, it doesn't it doesn't make it into the book because I thought of it afterwards, but it could be mentioned in a short story or something. But I'll say I have a lot of things on my mind that I write as notes, just some. When you're writing, do you know ahead of time? Yes, I definitely know ahead of time. Like I said, the stories do come to me, and I allow it to create the story and all that stuff. And I, of course, on my best and worst days. And of course, there's times that it might come while I'm writing, or even like afterwards. You know, it depends, but a lot of times the writing does come to me ahead of time. Why do you think fantasy worlds appeal to readers as much as it does? I'll say, like, we want to escape the real world. It's some it's fantasy worlds is somewhere that we're we're not like dealing with the problems that we might be facing. It pretty much like gets us away, like as a good distraction, let's just say, and it creates a impact in readers that's so different. As a fantasy reader, like it's great to be in a world that is not your own. So that's how I answer the question. Why do you include real life situations and issues in your book? Having the characters relate to what we might be going through, or like it doesn't have to be like a catastrophic event. It can be as small as like a little friendship conflict. Like maybe you're just fighting over something so small that could be easily fixed. You know what I mean? And we could get so caught up in that. It's very important to be able to relate to your readers. Keeps us reading is how relatable are these characters to us, not only the world building and the action scenes, but how are the characters coping with the world around them, and how are they like what how are they feeling when they experience all this stuff. Is there another genre that you would like to write in the future other than fantasy? I guess I'll say mystery because I've been reading mystery books. I've read the Inheritance games. It's so amazing. I really love the mystery aspect of it. And yeah, having mystery stories like mystery. Yeah, mystery. That's the big one. That's the biggest one I can think about. Oh, dystopian. I also want to write dystopian. Writing a world that is so different from us. And I love the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games is my favorite series of all time, as you can see over there. Yes, so dystopian and mystery. Is there an item, creature, or character from your books that you wish you had or knew in real life, or to stay in the pages and never seen the light of day? Yeah. So one item that I wish that was real is a communicator. A communicator, it's a device. It pretty much replaces phones, and you have the screen on your arm, and it's pretty much invisible to from people and all of that stuff. Like you, okay, so when you have it as the actual thing, it's like a nice gadget you put on your arm. Like you know how superheroes or some um some you know how knights, or they have those arm stuff, that armor. Yeah. And then and that's actually from my novel that I'm currently writing. Something to stay in the pages. mm, my characters, especially the very mysterious ones, because mm, like they're very interesting, but I believe they should not get out of the book. You know what I mean? I'm thinking of Goosebumps, and like how all the scary Halloween, well, not Halloween, but all the characters from R.L. Stein's books comes out into the actual real world. Yeah, I'll just keep the characters who are not entirely good in the book. How do you decide what your characters look like, and how do you come up with characters' names? So, the characters' descriptions, and they just come to me, and yeah, what they look like to me, that's what they look like. And I can leave some things up in the air of different features or something. but the basics, yeah, it just comes to me. And then character names come really easy to me. And how it's so easy to me is when I'm thinking of the story, it just comes to me right now. And I know a current theme in this video is things coming to me. And yeah, whenever I'm thinking about writing, it just comes to me. It's that just that feeling. Even whenever I'm not necessarily writing, it just comes to me, and I do my very best to remembering or just have it play in my head, or that particular character over again, and voila, that's the character, and I get to know a lot about them as well. And especially when I first think of them as a character, I really want to get to know them so I can remember them and be like, "Ooh, okay." And if I have a faded memory about that character, I'll be like, "Okay, what do I know about this character?" And I could think of it more, and yeah. So it's pretty fun. It's very fun creating your character's description and come up with their names. Really cool. Do you think that people fill in the blanks with protagonists that you want the reader to put themselves into the character? Yeah, I like having. Well, had any. I haven't had many readers read my books or anything, but if I were to have many readers, yeah, I would definitely be like allowing them to predict different things about the characters of their backstory or what had happened to them or what they're currently thinking about as well. That leads to open discussion about that character. I have some characters in my novella series that are mysterious, and maybe we don't get as much emphasis of their character, but we but it just leaves some open-ended questions, and I love open-ended questions about characters, especially when they have some mystery within them that they just don't just tell. How do you determine which topics to be appropriate to discuss in a YA novel? I'm for me, I'm pretty picky of what I want to discuss. A lot of things that I discuss is very relatable, down to earth. About family, friendship, growing up. I touch upon those themes a lot in my stories and how important that it is to not only know yourself but also not know about others, and um how might they see things and all that stuff. And also with when it comes to growing up, like that you're not alone. I have a lot of my stories centered around family. Like family is so important. And touching on to the family dynamics, like you and your sibling might be on the same page, but you and a parent might not necessarily be. So I kind of demonstrate that through just mini conflicts that are relatable and something to reflect on as well. I do avoid getting into the the juicy stuff. Character center. What's your favorite way to unwind after a heavy scene? So a scene that's pretty close to me. Yes, it does have impact, and as the writer, if it means more than just what I'm writing onto the page. It's something that either I've been through or I've seen, or even like someone else might have been going through, and I was like, okay, how would I had addressed this, or how would I address it in a way to be a part of the solution and not the problem. So it's a lot of reflection whenever it comes to those heavy scenes. And like I said before, I make it relatable and down to earth. Do you feel sympathy or compassion when you write a bad character? Yes, I do have sympathy for bad characters because they weren't always bad. They have a story of their own, and that something had driven them into becoming the person that they eventually became. And I enjoy exploring the villain so much because not only that they've been through so much, it's the fact that what led them to that. It's truly sad, and all I can feel is sorrow because they didn't have to go down that path. And even if they just chose that for themselves, I'm still like, why did you? Like, because if that were me, I would definitely feel this regret and question myself on what I'm doing. And I would definitely want to take steps back or just be in a private room and just lock myself up in like, what in the world am I doing? Do you base your characters on real life people or yourself? So I don't, or as of now, I don't really base my characters based on real life people because I don't, I don't feel like that's necessary to me. If I did, I don't know. I mean, it'll be so funny how I would have interpreted that real life person as this character. But I'll say I do see like traits, but I don't intentionally weave in the characters based on real life people. But what I do is take pieces of myself, well, even unknowingly take pieces of myself that's like me, or something like, ooh, what would rebel me do, or like like in the real world, there's some things in the real world that you would never do, but maybe cartoon you might do or something, or like it can be so epic and all that stuff, like, or you know what I mean. And yeah, me personally, when it comes to the characters that I've written already, I would love to breathe underwater. Like, seriously, because every time I go underwater, I do not like holding my nose like this. I hate it. And let's see, what else? What else? I would love to be a more of a know-it-all sometimes, with keeping my mouth shut. Like, there's things that I would love that to have and all that stuff. Oh, also having things. Oh, definitely having things as well. I would love to have things like that I don't have in the real world because it doesn't exist. So, yeah. What is the weirdest thing on your Google search history? When I heard that question at the panel, I was like, me and my friend were like, huh? And it was such a weird question. Um, I guess, um, I guess looking up, I really don't know. I don't think I've looked up anything weird. What is a piece of advice that you were given early on? your writing doesn't have to be perfect. And how I can relate to this is for years that I tried to be perfect, and you know, it took me to realize, even through advice from people I knew, like nothing is perfect. You don't have to do it perfect. Just do it to the best of your ability. So yeah, and when I finally realized for myself that it's not going to be perfect, I started to embrace things as it is and to do my best at it as well. And if things do work out perfectly, that's great. But now I don't expect things to be perfect. That's just the way it is. Things are going to be messy. So, yeah, I write it uh as the story is playing in my head, and just, you know, and I really do try not to revise it ed as I'm writing the book. That's a tendency that I have, and it's a bad habit when I do that. But yeah, which brings me up to the next question: how many times do you find yourself revising a first draft before it's ready? Um, a few times. Like each time I revise an ed, my book, I consider that a draft. I do not start over. I hate starting over. I cannot start over. If I start over, I'm just like, I'm pretty much going to write the same story, but not entirely with the same words. You know what I mean? So just revising it, edit it. Yeah, we gonna like if something doesn't make sense. Okay, yeah, put in, put out, and all that stuff. But yeah, it'll take a few times. And with my novellas, I know this from experience from my novellas because I'm currently working on that, and it's no fun. It's no fun, but it's something that you had to go through in the writing process. And with my novel, once I do finish that, I am going to read over it, not edit, or I'll try not to edit, but I'm going to definitely read over it and like what's messy, or like take notes of like what's messy or what I need to change without like touching it and trying to fix everything. So yeah. And then, what is something that surprised you about being an author? Something that surprised me, like, you don't have a deadline. I'll say that. So when you're writing, you don't have a deadline because it's basically how long you take writing it, and like how long until you can get the next um great piece of writing out there, really. And you can take your time to do so. Another thing is that it is a process, a long process. It is not easy, and you gotta be patient with yourself if you want your book to be published or even like share to like other people, or you just want to finish it just to finish it. It is going to take time. And then, what is your favorite to go snack? My favorite to go snack, anything that seems tasty, pretty much. I love a nice snack. I'm not too picky. I don't really have a like number one to go snack because it depends on what's in the cabinet. But if there was one thing, I would say I'll say a pack of fruit snacks. Nothing's wrong with a pack of fruit snacks. It's small and you know a snack. Those are my answers based on the panel that I went to for the book festival. And please check out the video of the panel. And the authors, Gabby Burton and Lauren Roberts, give very interesting answers of their writing and their journey as well. And thank you for watching and see you in the next video.